Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Learn with GRV. So we will continue our study of the book Indian Polity, which is written by M. Lakshmikant. So right now we are studying part 1, that is called Constitutional Framework. In part 1 we have chapter 1 called as Historical Background, and today we are going to study Amending Act of 1781. So in the previous video we had learnt about the Regulating Act of 1773. Now, talking about Amending Act of 1781, this was brought by the British government in order to rectify the mistakes that they did in the Regulating Act of 1773. And this act is also known as the Settlement Act. This act is also known as the Settlement Act of 1781. Now let us see what were the key features of this act. So one of the key feature was that it exempted the Governor General from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, and it also exempted the servants of the company from the jurisdiction of Supreme Court. So this was the first point. You don't have to take notes because I will be attaching in the description the link for the Google Drive where you already have the notes, so you can just listen. So it exempted the Governor General and the servants of the company from jurisdiction of Supreme Court. So this was one feature. Then what was the another feature? Another feature was it also excluded revenue matters and matters arising in the collection of revenues. So if you notice, if you had, as we had seen in the previous video, in the Regulating Act of 1773, British government had took power of the company, and all the matters of civil, military and revenue were to be reported to them. So this act actually exempted that, and it said that the matters of revenue and the matters arising in the collection of revenue will be exempted from the jurisdiction of Supreme Court. So it exempted, you can say, matters of revenue from jurisdiction of Supreme Court. This was another feature. Then, so these are the two. So first thing is it was called Settlement Act of 1781. Second feature was it exempted the Governor General and servants of the company from jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Third was it exempted matters of revenue and matters arising in collection of revenue from Supreme Court. Another feature was that it provided the Supreme Court to have jurisdiction over the inhabitants of Calcutta. So all the peoples who were living in Calcutta, Supreme Court had jurisdiction on them, and if a person is Hindu, then he would be tried according to the Hindu law, and if he is a Muslim, then he would be tried according to the Muslim law. All right. One another feature was that it also said that the appeals from provincial courts, so provincial courts, that is courts within that region, so any appeals that arise out of provincial courts should be directed to the Governor General in Council and not to the Supreme Court. So this was the point about personal law. This was the feature regarding provincial courts. Okay. 5. Now what was the sixth feature? It also empowered the Governor General in Council to frame regulations for provincial courts and councils. So it empowered the Governor General in Council. So I am referring to the word GG as Governor General in Council to basically to frame regulations for provincial courts and councils. So let us see what were the features of the Amending Act of 1781 once again. So the first feature was that it was called the Settlement Act of 1781. It was also known by this name. Also, this act was created by the British government to rectify the errors that they did in the Regulating Act of 1773. All right. The second point was that so what were the mistakes that they had done in the Regulating Act of 1773. For example, matters it exempted in this act, they exempted the Governor General and the servants of the company from jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Earlier, in the Act of 1773, Supreme Court was formed in 1771. Yeah, Supreme Court was formed in Calcutta in 1774, and then the Governor General and servants of the company were coming under their jurisdiction. So this was exempted. The third point that they did was they exempted matters of revenue and matters arising when we are collecting the revenue from jurisdiction of Supreme Court. That was another thing. The third thing was then Supreme Court had jurisdiction over the inhabitants of Calcutta, and people were to be tried according to their personal law. So if somebody is a Hindu, he would be tried according to the Hindu law, and if he is a Muslim, he would be tried according to the Muslim law. Okay. The third thing it did was that matters which are arising out of provincial courts, they would be directed to the Governor General in Council and not directly to the Supreme Court. And another important feature was that it empowered the Governor General in Council to actually regulate, to frame regulations for the provincial courts and the councils. So this was about the Amending Act of 1781. In the next video, we are going to see what was Pitt's India Act of 1784. Till that time, thank you. This is Gaurav Singh signing off.